Hi, good afternoon. How's my favorite group doing? The full three of Christian, Annika, and Sumeri. I trust you guys are well. Yes, it's trying circumstances. Things change from day to day. Yesterday, as you gathered, I went to the campus because I couldn't do the Zoom session from home because of load shedding. Campus was fine, but when I was on campus, you guys were in areas that you couldn't log in. Bit of confusion. However, I did record on a Zoom yesterday's Zoom session. I continued to do the session, so that's on Moodle. And then the message came through that we are going to, for the rest of the term, revert to pre-recorded sessions like we did in lockdown stage 5, term 2. And then one session a week, we're going to have a Zoom session. I suggested to management that that session should be the Thursday 3 o'clock session because that's the last session we have in a week. And then we can reflect and summarize the week, the Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday session. And you can actually have an opportunity to list all the questions that of the work on the videos that you have seen. The following topic 2, that deals with personal characteristics, is actually not chapter 2 but chapter 6 in your manuals. Just be aware of that, and then also or take note of that. And then in the top left corner you'll see part 1. This particular topic, chapter 6 on personal characteristics, actually comes in 4 parts, and I'll be doing the first 2 now and upload it with all the others, and it will be ready available on Moodle this afternoon after 3. And also alternatively, I have done an online schedule for you like we did in the first term as well for the month of July. So you can see that the part that I referred to in the top right left corner would also be on your schedule, show part 1 of topic 2, which is chapter 6. Right, let's get back to business. Personal characteristics. Why is it important that we look at the different personal characteristics of our customers? We would obviously, or we see it as very important, and that's why we would like to describe each of them, and we're going to specifically look at 4 of them, which we'll see on the next slide. Differentiate between the 3 different roles that customers play, and therefore learning outcome 1 and 2 on the screen now will directly relate to question 1 in your assignment. And then we're going to discuss the influences of religion, race, gender, and age, which are the 4 personal characteristics that this chapter is built around. As I said, the 4 characteristics that we'll be dealing with is religion, race, gender, and age. We will address each of them individually. But firstly, just for the sake of it, or for the sake of fun, our personalities are very different and we see things differently. And that's called perception. Your experience and my experience are different, and therefore how I see something is different to how you see something, and so it goes with all of us in this group. And therefore I wanted to just upload that image for you so we can get a clear idea of what specific image you actually see, because they are for some people there's quite obvious, it's quite obvious what it is. But let's leave this for Thursday, and on Thursday I'll ask you who saw what on that particular image that I have on the right hand side of the screen. Personal characteristics can be used to also segment markets. We saw that in a previous chapter, and marketing segmentation is very important for the business because it means that we group together customers that have similar characteristics and traits, and therefore also needs and wants, and it makes it easier for us to focus our attention, our marketing efforts on a particular market that we have now chosen to to focus on that we call target marketing. So the segment that we have chosen would be consist of individual consumers who have similar personality characteristics. The illustrations on the next two pages, you'll see on the left hand side of the screen the four characteristics that we will be doing this chapter: race and gender. And then also on the next slide, age and religion. They specifically refer to, and that's how you're going to structure your question one as well, where we say that we want these characteristics applied to all three different roles that the consumer play. And that's what we've identified in the previous chapter, that the consumer can be a buyer, a payer, or a user. Let's just randomly select for the illustration a particular block. Let's take, for instance, a race and the user, for instance, and let's read what it says there. For personal care items, like it would be for your items in your case study, your assignment, the customer seeks products that are compatible with their skin and their hair needs. Ethnic tastes in food, clothes, and homes can differ, and then also some minority groups seek social values as compensation. I think you can see that when it comes to race as a specific characteristic that we've chosen, if we apply that to your assignment, where you had to choose a sorbet product, you can see the user, the person who's going to actually put on that lipstick or use that cream. There are certain aspects that needs to be considered regarding and related to the race specifically. When it comes to who pays for it, let's look at gender, the second characteristic. The payer and the gender of the payer. In some societies, gender plays a role on the basis on who actually pays for it. There are some societies where it's frowned upon if certain individuals pay, certain genders pay rather than others. And that has directly linked to the role of and the changing roles of males and females, but we'll get back to that later in the same chapter. The same applies for the next slide, so I'm not going to spend time on the next slide, but it's very important for you to specifically look at these two slides when you do your assignment one. Let's look at religion. Now, religion refers to our systems of beliefs. Some people, and you've heard it before, say that they believe, therefore they have a spiritual inclination. So they don't believe specifically in a God, but they believe they are spiritual. They do believe that there is a higher authority that has created the universe and that guides everything. A person's religion or religious affiliation has an impact on his or her beliefs and values, and as a result, how they behave. I've just listed some of the most known religions globally as well as in South Africa. We can have a look at that. And obviously there's many more, but these are the ones that I think the majority of our potential consumers belong to. The religion of the consumer can definitely influence what they purchase. Over time, I think we have become used to, and that's reflected in some of the images that I've got on the screen there, certain symbols and rituals that's associated with certain religions. I know over Easter, for instance, the symbols, the hot cross buns, the Easter eggs are very familiar with the Christian celebration of Easter. And then on the other hand, again, when it comes to, for instance, the Muslims, certain religious practices, like for instance when they are celebrating Ramadan, where they basically fast between sunrise and sunset for a month, certain products will be in greater demand during certain times of the year as a result of certain religious rituals. And therefore, it is important for you as a future marketer to understand that during certain times, certain products are going to be in greater demand and that you have to focus on them when you do your marketing strategy. It is very important for us as future marketers not to ignore the religious beliefs of the consumers in the market. There are certain religious requirements that have an impact on our daily lives, like for instance, certain foods and the way in which they're prepared that's not that need to be considered by a marketer or by a company, that they ensure that they specifically accommodate all religions for that matter. The research has shown that consumers religiously has or the religion of consumers has a potential value in a segment in the market. And yeah, sometimes it is exploited by some retailers. The large retailers are often in different regional areas of the country, and they have to adapt according to the specific regional campaigns or their specific regional campaigns according to the religions in each specific region. The next aspect we'll be looking at is race, where we can see race or can define race as the genetic heritage group into which a person is born. In South Africa, we have mainly the black, white, Indian, and colored groups. Groups that we belong to, and there's also a related concept referred to as our ethnic identity, which is the ethnic heritage into which a person is born. For instance, you could be the different tribes that we find, for instance, in South Africa, and then the Welsh, the Scotch, and English are all English-speaking individuals originate from the UK, and therein lies a challenge in itself, not just from a language point of view, but also because of your ethnic heritage specifically. I think it's at this point important for us to differentiate between race and ethnicity, where race is the biological concept that refers to the distinction among people based on the genes, where ethnicity refers to the distinction between people based on their national or cultural heritage. Will Smith is an American, that's his national cultural heritage, but he's also from a specific race. So that's why often they're referred to as African Americans. Have a look at that YouTube clip that I've uploaded for you as well at the bottom of the screen. Race is then obviously a very important variable that marketers can use to help them to establish a group who have similar needs and values. And we see that ethnic segmentation may have their own cultures and languages and religions, but it is very appropriate to target, or it's not, as I said, appropriate to target ethnic segments with general products or services. For instance, a particular product is advertised, it was traditionally been used by white South Africans, and now all of a sudden they've used obviously white actors in a commercial. Now they keep the same commercial and the same product, but they're just using black actors in that commercial, and that doesn't always lead to the black market identifying themselves with that particular product, purely because it is people of the same ethnicity that are used in the commercial. For instance, if I can use another example, The skin colors are different, and we different moisture content, and therefore the formulation of a specific cosmetics needs to be different for each skin type, and it could be related to race as well because of yeah, and therefore it needs to be considered by marketers to ensure that they pay attention to the fact that based on the race, certain products in a particular range needs to be adjusted for a specific ethnic group. It obviously then raises the question if targeting ethnic segments is racist. It's not really, because your ethnic segments differ in their needs and their values, and therefore they should be treated differently by marketers. There's no discrimination that takes place in this case. It's a fact that there are just differences. The marketers have noted the differences and they have attended to the differences to cater for a specific need of a specific ethnic group. Marketers therefore need to definitely make sure that there are valid differences between the needs and the wants of the different racial groups. And if there is, then they should respond to these differences in the correct manner by not isolating a particular segment of the market. In other words, the segment within a segment, and miss out on the need, because both groups have the need. It just needs to be a variation of the product to specifically apply to a particular race. Companies have also picked up on the fact that this is an important aspect, and they all compete for the same market, and therefore have to ensure that products that's appropriate for the customers of a particular race is offered to that particular race. How is race specifically important to marketing communication, or how does it impact on our marketing communication? Quite clearly, one of the most common mistakes that marketers make is that they when they communicate with specific ethnic groups or different ethnic groups, they assume that the members are the same as other cultural groups, and that is, as I said, yes, the most common mistake that's often made. Marketers must therefore explore the needs and the wants and the actual differences of their markets when they produce products and market specific products to specific groups. I've used that example of different of white and black actors that is often used in the media, and often used incorrectly by using the same ad without changing the script or the language in the setting to advertise the same product, but it's directed at two different segments of the market based on race. I think we're just going to stop here for the moment, and then return later on with part 2 in the series on how personal characteristics play a very important role in customers making the decisions.